"Can we share your fries, sir?" The voice was barely above a whisper, trembling with something deeper than hunger. Elias Thornton looked up from his untouched plate to find a young woman standing beside his table, her hand resting protectively on a small boy's shoulder. The child's eyes were fixed on the golden fries, wide with a longing that made Elias's chest tighten. "I'm sorry to bother you," the woman continued, her cheeks flushing crimson. We're waiting for our order, and Mason here hasn't eaten since breakfast, and I thought, I'm sorry, this isn't appropriate." She turned to leave, but Elias found himself standing, his hand reaching toward the chair across from him. "Please," he said softly, his voice catching on the word. "Please sit. Take the whole plate. I haven't touched it." The woman, Natalie, she said her name was, hesitated, her eyes searching his face for judgment, for pity, for anything that would make this moment more humiliating than it already felt. But Elias only saw himself 3 years ago, standing in a hospital corridor, bargaining with a God he didn't believe in, begging for just one more moment with the family he was about to lose. She sat slowly, lifting Mason onto her lap. The child's small hands reached for a fry, and he ate with the kind of careful gratitude that broke something inside Elias. "Thank you," Natalie whispered, her voice thick. "We don't usually. I work 2 jobs, but this week the car broke down, and the repair cost everything I'd saved, and I just wanted to give him one normal afternoon, one meal where he didn't have to eat peanut butter again." Elias nodded, unable to speak past the lump in his throat. He signaled the waiter, ordering more food, burgers, milkshakes, apple pie. Natalie's eyes widened in protest, but he shook his head gently. "My daughter used to love fries," he said quietly, the words escaping before he could stop them. "She would steal them off my plate every Sunday at our favorite diner. She was 2. Her name was Lily." The past tense hung in the air like smoke. Natalie's expression shifted from embarrassment to understanding, to a grief that mirrored his own. "I'm so sorry," she breathed. "Car accident 3 years ago. My wife was driving. They said it was instant, that they didn't suffer. I wasn't there. I was in a meeting, closing a deal that would make me millions, and I missed the call. I missed all 3 calls." Mason looked up at him with curious, innocent eyes. "Are you sad?" "Mason," Natalie whispered, mortified. But Elias smiled, a real smile that surprised him. "Yeah, buddy, I am sad. But you know what? Sharing fries with you is making me a little less sad." Over the next hour, Natalie told her story in fragments, pieces of a life that had shattered and was slowly being rebuilt. Her husband had left when she was pregnant, choosing his college sweetheart over the family he had promised to build. She'd moved back in with her parents, who helped with Mason while she worked as a nurse's aide during the day and cleaned offices at night. "Some days I'm so tired I can barely stand," she admitted, her fingers absently smoothing Mason's hair. "But then I look at him and I remember why I keep going. He deserves better than what I can give him right now, but I'm trying. God, I'm trying so hard." Elias felt something crack open inside him, a door he'd sealed shut 3 years ago, barricaded with work and isolation and the conviction that caring about anything would only lead to more loss. What Natalie didn't know, what Elias didn't tell her that day, was that he'd stopped coming to cafes, stopped eating at diners, stopped going anywhere that reminded him of Sunday afternoons with Lily. This was his first time back. His therapist had insisted. "You can't hide from life forever," she had said. "At some point, you have to choose to participate again." He'd chosen this cafe randomly, sat at this table by chance, ordered fries he had no intention of eating. And then Natalie had appeared, asking for something he didn't know he needed to give. "Where do you work?" Elias asked, his mind already turning, already planning. "Riverside Medical Center, 3rd shift." She hesitated. "Why?" "And the cleaning company?" Natalie's brow furrowed, but she answered. "Bright Dawn Services, downtown office buildings mostly." Elias pulled out his phone, typing notes. "I own a company. We're expanding our facilities management division. We need someone to oversee staffing, training, quality control. It's day shift, full benefits. The pay is substantial." Natalie stared at him, her face pale. "I don't understand." "I'm offering you a job. If you want it." Elias met her eyes directly. "I'm not doing this out of pity. I'm doing this because you're exactly the kind of person I want working for me. Someone who understands what it means to fight for something, to show up even when you're exhausted, to maintain dignity in impossible circumstances." Tears slipped down Natalie's cheeks. "But you don't even know me." "I know enough." He paused, his voice softening. 3 years ago, I lost everything that mattered. I spent every day since then wondering why I survived when they didn't. What the point of all this money, all this success was, if I couldn't use it to protect the people I loved. He glanced at Mason, who was drawing on a napkin with a crayon the waiter had brought. "Maybe the point is this. Maybe it's using what I have to help someone else protect what they love." The following Monday, Natalie started her new job. But what Elias discovered over the coming months changed everything. The cleaning company she'd worked for had been systematically underpaying employees, including his own buildings. Natalie's attention to detail, her integrity, her genuine care for the people under her supervision, all of it led to a complete overhaul of the company's practices. She wasn't just good at her job, she was extraordinary. 6 months later, on a Sunday afternoon, Elias found himself back at the same cafe. Natalie and Mason were already there, waiting at the same table. It had become their tradition: Sunday fries, shared stories, the slow rebuilding of 2 broken lives into something neither had expected, a friendship that felt like family. Mason ran to him with a drawing, a stick figure family labeled Elias, Mommy, and Me. Elias knelt down, his eyes stinging. "This is beautiful, buddy." "We're sharing fries," Mason said seriously, pointing to the paper plate in the center of the drawing. Natalie came beside them, her hand resting lightly on Elias's shoulder. "You know what you taught me?" she said softly. "That asking for help isn't weakness, it's courage. And that sometimes the people who have lost the most are the ones who understand giving the most." Elias stood, looking at this woman who'd walked into his life asking for fries and ended up giving him something far more valuable, a reason to believe that hope was not gone, that connection was still possible, that moving forward didn't mean forgetting. "You taught me something too," he said, his voice rough with emotion. "That grief doesn't have to be the end of the story, that we can honor what we've lost by choosing to show up for what remains, that sharing something small can lead to something extraordinary." Mason tugged on both their hands. "Can we eat now? I'm hungry." They laughed, real, full laughter that filled the cafe with warmth. And as they sat together, sharing fries and stories and the quiet comfort of simply being seen, Elias realized that 3 years ago he'd lost his family. But today, in this cafe, with this brave woman and her beautiful son, he'd found something he thought was gone forever, the possibility of healing, of connection, of home. Kindness begins with the smallest gesture, a shared plate, an open heart, a moment of genuine connection. When we choose to see each other's humanity, when we offer what we have to those who need it most, we discover that in giving, we receive something infinitely more valuable, the reminder that we're never truly alone.